Hi folks, Eagle Spitz here on Desert Island Vids over on Punk Fabulous Eclectic Virtual Festival. Today I've got with me Red Ken from Ferocious Dog. Hello mate, how are you sir?
Hey, Eagle, how you doing? All right.
Yeah, not bad at all. How are you coping with this isolation thing?
Oh, I tell you what, I mean, this weather, it don't get no better, does it? Oh, and I can't go out anywhere. Jeez, plenty of jobs, and keep picking the guitar up.
Oh, good man, good man. And thanks for doing that set for us the other day. It was great.
No, I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Well, tell us a little bit about you start to music yourself. How you got involved in music and stuff?
I first picked the guitar up when my son Lee was born, and I had plenty of time babysitting, so I weren't going out very much. And I'll just shut this door. And my brother brought a guitar around and used to sit with me while I was babysitting. My wife was out working still. So, and I had plenty of time babysitting, so I started picking a guitar up. And then back catalogue of things like, I know all songs to Beatles and started with Beatles, but I was brought up by my father on Irish folk music. So I knew all these folk songs word for word from being a small boy and absolutely hated them. As like into the 80s, being a breakdancer and, and that from 1983 onwards, and me being a teenager loving breakdancing all over the country, absolutely hated folk music, Irish folk music. But then a band came along like the Pogues and made folk music punk, as you would say. So I was like, whoa, you could really do something with this. This is amazing. So then I started learning, to speed the songs up, the Irish folk songs, and from an early age, and really saw that it could go somewhere. So that's how Ferocious Dog really first started. And then obviously bands like The Levelers came along, who were current at the time, brand new band coming out that had the energy to it. So I'm not thinking, I could do that. And being a socialist and from my background of politics, the Levelers show me a political side to a band. So that was me set really from the Irish folk songs, and then the political stance, like through Billy Bragg in the 80s helping the striking miners. It just like pushed me on to start writing my own lyrics and make my own songs.
Oh, cool. What quite surprises me is that out of 3 songs you sent us, wasn't any folk stuff in there. So would you like to introduce the first song, buddy?
It was hard, that was, because, if you could say, and it's songs that mean something to you. I noticed there were no folk songs, and it was a hard decision between a folk song. You can only give 3 songs, but and a lot of political stuff like Billy Bragg and the Levelers absolutely love. But the 3 song choices that I picked, it's so hard, and you've got to then say why and why them songs moved you, and which I will talk along.
Yeah, tell us about the first one now, mate.
Right. Going back to the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, as a young kid. And that's when you really start getting into bands and music that shape you for the rest of your life, really, that you get an identity. And I can remember Hazel O'Connor coming out, and it was like you got this futuristic kind of like with Breaking Glass, the film, and Will You was just a complete different side to her that I'd not seen from this young woman who was really energetic and pushing the boundaries of music and videos and things like that. And then you saw a really soft song in Hazel O'Connor, who had this aggressive look with the really dark eyes and the neon stuff and the futuristic stuff. And then you had this song called Will You, and I'm like, with the saxophone. There's no technology or anything. It was just stripped bare, and it was like the story. From being a young kid, it sat me back down and like, oh my God, listen to that. And every time, it's one of them songs where I can always remember just listening to that song. Because when we were growing up and we didn't really have much, we just had an old hand-me-down record player from the 60s from my mother, that you had one PowerPoint on the landing, which you plugged in. You didn't have PowerPoints in your bedroom. You had one on the landing, so you didn't have electricity in your bedrooms and things. So you'd have to take it out, put all the records on and stacks. But there's one song you keep listening to over and over and over. And that was one of them songs that I just keep listening to it. And every time it just sends you can, what I say in a song, and I said this before when I talked to Hazel O'Connor's best friend, Ali Banks, a good friend of hers who I talked to about what this song means to me. That she's written such a good song and sings it so well that you sat in that front room or that room with two people who love each other and want to make that first step but don't want to muck it up and feel a bit awkward. You get that feeling listening to that song. So how well it is written and the story comes out, you are sat in there, you can see the picture evolving as she sings the song. It's just perfect. You can't, certain songs come along where you think that's perfect, and that Will You by Hazel O'Connor, it just does it for me. That is just one of them songs. It's timeless, and I've seen her play it.
Yeah, it's certainly a beautiful song. I see her play it, do it once with just a harpist with her. That was beautiful.
She's been doing the lockdown sessions as well, and she played it, and she played the mouth organ on it with a pianist, and it was just no matter which way she plays it, it's still timeless. And to play it on a mouth organ and her to do the saxophone piece, it's still just took it for me. I was like, well, that's still amazing. Yeah. It is just a unique piece of music for me. It takes me back to being a kid, and when I first heard it, it still feels that poignant to me when I listen to it. Even when that's why I've started to sing it now when I've done the live sessions, because it's when I always said that songs like that I never want to learn because it kind of ruins it for you. That magic, once you know a song off by heart, there's some songs that you love that you should never sing yourself because you lose that magic for why you loved it. But I don't think it is that way. I just enjoy singing that song to try and emulate that feeling what Hazel O'Connor puts into that song. So for me, that's definitely got to be one of them.
Fantastic. Yeah, we spoke on the phone the other night, and we've got, obviously Punk for Homeless is involved in helping street kids around the world, but Ferocious Dogs are involved quite a bit, aren't you?
Yeah, it's something that I've done for a lot of years, and it's tragedy that brings you to these things. And me losing my son and setting up, the Lee Bonsall Memorial Fund. Well, that year that we lost our son to when he committed suicide through PTSD, you look at life different. And what we did, we said, well, we can't really celebrate Christmas that year. We just, as Bottomman just dropped out of our world, and you think, you've got to pick yourself back up and carry on. Well, celebrating Christmas just weren't there. So me and my wife said that no matter how bad we feel, there's always people that's worse off at this moment. And so we just started locally feeding the homeless around Mansfield and helping people like veterans that we found that we were helping a veteran service that people that suffered from PTSD, and that's what they were doing. So we jumped on board, and that was like the catalyst for us to start. The thing is, when you start helping people who are homeless living on streets, it started out really about trying to get veterans and find veterans who were slipped through the net who were living on the streets. But once you start to get to know these people who are living on streets, and they're all from different backgrounds and different ways that they got to live on the streets, it's about helping people who are vulnerable and struggling. no matter what, no matter whether they're veterans or not. So then we expanded it to playing all over, where every show, as I said, we're missing a trick with Ferocious Dog. Every show that we play, we could ask for a food drop. And the people who follow Ferocious Dog, the Hellhounds, they are the best. I just ask a question now, they deliver. And what I usually find is the people with the least give you the most.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And it really is, and it touches me every time. Really, really does. Me and Karen, that people don't just bring a tin; they bring bags full, and it's not just once; it's time and time and time again. They never ever let you down. So then that puts me in contact with food banks and charities up and down the country, and also in the Netherlands. And when we play in Kenya, we do the same. We just ask a question and get in touch, and help local food banks and local charities. Even to when we moved it on to where somebody who follows Ferocious Dog and Hellhound, who does the big issue, and he says, "Kenny, is there any chance when you play Rock City that we can have 2 vendors outside and try and promote it there and get them to sell all their papers and try and help 2 homeless people out?" And we say, yes, that would be amazing. Anything to help. So then I go along, meet the people, have a photo, put it on my social media and say, if you see this big issue vendor outside as you're walking in, £3.50, can you just, or if you've got spare change for a £5 and let them keep the change. This is helping people get out of just begging on the streets. So we try as best any way we can through having a
Brilliant.
foundation of Ferocious Dog, really.
Awesome. So what's your next tune, buddy?
Right, I picked Jump Around by Ice of Pain.
Okay.
Right. It's one of them, I defy anybody. It's an anthem. And me coming out of, and it's like Tommy Boy records and things like that, me coming out of being a breakdancer back in the early days, I loved my breakdancers. The first time I went to Rock City was every Saturday morning. We used to go for breakdancing, and there were all the crews there from all over the country used to go to Rock City. And the Rock City crew were a massive, one of the best in the country at the time. And so to be part of that culture coming from Nottingham, and then House of Pain was like, as breakdancing was dying out, but it's the electro and hip hop nation had moved on to like the Beastie Boys and Cypress Hill and House of Pain, still using the same beats, and then you got like into the gangster rap and things like that all came from electro, hip hop, and breakdancing. So it's one of them songs when that came out and I'd moved on and settled down, that I like, oh my God, it just, the certain tunes make you want to breakdance and jump around like that. And I defy anybody when that starts not to start doing that. It's just one of them tunes that, and my wife always, when I was younger, my wife always used to get it to disco to put it on, because she knows that I couldn't sit still and I'd start breakdancing and spinning around and being a lunatic again.
Brilliant. Awesome, mate. Excellent. And you can find these in our links, folks. When the video's up, there'll be in our links. We were talking the other night about your involvement with street children, a street children's centre somewhere. What do you fellas know about all that stuff? Because obviously that's close to my homelessness heart.
Yeah, when we got invited to go and play in Kenya, in Nairobi, and Rob Davidson, who a good friend who found us for the Levellers, he when we supported the Levellers on their tour, and he saw Ferocious Dog for the first time and said, "Wow, I want to get these out," because he puts shows on in Nairobi where he lives. So obviously we jumped at the chance, and his wife helps for street children, a charity set up in Nairobi in one of the slums there in Kibera and Karangawa. So of course, she, knowing what we do as Ferocious Dog for charity, she set up that we'd get the bus on a day off, or before we play at night, and we'd go into to meet Ryko and Martha, the 3 people who set this up, who were street children themselves. And to be the only white people in Carangalway driving through, it's quite intimidating. It really, really is. It's something that coming from England, that it is quite scary. And when you see a shanty town or a ghetto or a slum, as it's all the different terms around the world, these people are really, there's no electricity, no running water kind of thing, where these people are living in these shacks on top of each other, and you can smell it, and the poverty there. And then you think that this street children that are living on these streets, and they're not streets, but, and you're thinking, this is hell on earth, really, for kids to grow up, and they're so vulnerable, and nobody to look out for them. And Martha, who was a street child and wanted to give something back and save children from getting into this lifestyle of prostitution and drugs, set this centre up right in the middle. And it's amazing just to go there. And I say every time that we take a new band member or somebody comes for the first time, I say, you will cry when you see these children, and all they do is smile. They've got the biggest smiles on their faces. That's their life, that's what they're used to. But to us to see it for the first time, it's a different life. I mean, I was brought up quite rough, and we didn't have much in England. Working class, didn't have much. But it's a different life when you see their life. You're thinking, don't take anything for granted ever again, ever. And I'm a foster carer, and you see our foster kids, they get everything, and so they should. They come from a bad start, and you try and make things up for them to give them a good start. But these children, oh my God, it really puts in perspective about life and what you take for granted, and the amazing work that RICO do, and some people over here who run the charity as well, alongside them, that we got involved with to try and help them. And it's just amazing to see that, like you can, I think it's something like £30, £25 a month, you can sponsor a child. Because the way out of Kibera or Carangalway is education. That is the only way out of that lifestyle. And that's what they do. They educate the children. They get them an education. And to visit some of the families, and the children are like top of the class, because they understand. They're not just wasting the time in school. They want an education, because that is the only way out. And that is probably the only way out then, that they can look after their mother, because they're single parents and things. And, they want to get out of that lifestyle.
Yeah, one thing that really, I mean, I always say punk for homeless. I mean, it's like, there's over 100 million street children in the world. But we can make it, I mean, which is a bit of a daunting prospect to try to help, but we can help some.
Yeah.
I mean, and encourage those to help others, which sounds like the project.
Yeah, if you can just help as many as you can, it's doing something rather than saying, "Oh, I wish I could help, but I can't." Like coming back and just asking somebody for the price of, going to Mackie D's, taking your family to Mackie D's, and just say, "Well, we'll give them this, but what we'll do, we'll sponsor a child, a street child in, around the world, in Sierra Leone, or like you do, or Brazil, or Nairobi, or these kids really have got nothing." And when you see the poverty, it really just brings it home of, for how much, 20, 30 quid per month, gives them an education or helps them for a better life where they can get out themselves. And that's the difference, the respect of an education.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we sent £1,000 last year specifically for a project to teach girls to weld, so they could become welders rather than prostitutes.
Exactly. And it's a way out. It's a path to get out and respect, and to make something, and to do something, and to learn a trade.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously things are a bit different at the moment because of COVID-19. Compass Children's Charity Work, we've got this emergency appeal because street children can't self-isolate.
I had this conversation with somebody in Kenya the other day saying, I really feel for the people in Karangawa, because they can't self-isolate. When you see how close people are living in shanty towns, corrugated, no windows, they've just got SE and sacks for the, across the windows. There's no glass there, and just to wash and just to get food. There's no way that they can isolate. It's just if it gets in there, it's just going to go all the way through. And the size of Kibera and Karangawa is just mind-boggling. How big that slum is. It's just massive. Everybody's just going to get it, so it's just going to wipe everybody out, and it's just not fair.
No.
That these are the bottom of society are just going to get the brunt of it. They're not going to get no help, and food-wise, they're struggling from day to day normally. So then when you get a pandemic like this, they don't stand a chance.
No, so folks, support Ferocious Dog in our work, support punk families in our work, because the money's going straight to the front line where it's needed. So, what's your last song, buddy?
This was so hard, right? And like you pointed out, you can only pick 3 songs that are special to me. And this, like I said earlier, what shapes you for music takes me back to when ska, two-tone, first hit, and the specials, and one song that really sticks out that they did have in the charts, but it's not one of that people know as their best songs, is Do Nothing. If same as Will You, if there's that one song that you can just put over and just lay down on your back with that record on and just keep putting it back on again and never get fed up, never get fed up, that song is one of them. I don't know, I think it's in the melody also. It's like a dreamlike melody in the background of Do Nothing, the music in the background, like a whale, it's a fairground. And listening to the lyrics and what two-tone meant to me as a young kid, just becoming a teenager for the first time, 12, 13, listening to ska and the two-tone message of what it meant to us in a little village here in Nottinghamshire. It just, it sets you foundations for music. And still, I'll still go back to my two-tone and the message that two-tone was trying to say in them times about unification and black and white musicians coming together. To me, it was perfect, and that just set the tone for what two-tone was trying to do. Even as a young kid, I got the message.
Yeah, my experience was when two-tone came along. I mean, it's like the first band I ever see when I was 15 was Sham 69.
Yeah.
And fucking bloodbath because of far right moving in and stuff. And that's how the early punk gigs were. So two-tone was was a really, really sort of good thing to happen at that point in time.
The whole movement was so political. Even when I was a young kid and didn't really know much about politics, I didn't realise how much it was shaping me for the future on politics and prejudices. I can remember going on annual camp as an army cadet at the same time as we're into
I was
two-tone.
an army cadet too.
Well, that's what we did. All my friends and a good friend, Gary Williams. His family come from Jamaica, and my best friend Gaz Williams, and I can remember being chased in Folkestone by some skinheads, and we coming, from a mining village in Notts. We didn't really get it because we were all the same. Everybody spoke the same. We're all Warsop, and we all spoke with a Warsop accent, and even the black kids spoke exactly the same as us, and around this community. And we didn't see a difference. But then when you go to cities, and we went to somewhere like Folkestone and got chased by skinheads for his life, and we're only kids, you were lucky if we were 13. And it really brought it home to you what two-tone was trying to say. That even at a young age, you're like, well, you know, and I've had racist remarks because I had dark skin always was growing up, and I've been spat in my face and called a packy bastard, right? So as a young kid, you know, by a group of skinheads crossing over who were a bit drunk and just spat in my face, and I'm like, where did that come from? I don't know. So as a young kid growing up in the 70s and early 80s, I really got to understand what racism was about, and I hated it. So it's always stuck with me what Two Tone tried to do or did do, you know, and
Yeah.
take me hat off to bands like the Specials, Selector, and the Beat, you know, and Madness and Bad Manners and them, you know, the Scar and Body Snatchers. Absolutely amazing what they tried to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was always a massive Clash fan, was still am. And yeah, obviously they just bring in ska and dub and into their stuff. So, and then the early punk gigs, you had no punk music to listen to between bands. So you got people like Don Letts playing dub, reggae,
Exactly.
and reggae. So you know, it was like totally eye opener. It was like a brilliant brilliant time to be growing up.
It was the Clash. I mean, when the punk movement hit, I didn't like punk. I didn't get it because I loved reggae. So when Two Tone came along, and I was still a young kid, but I loved reggae. You know, obviously from Bob Marley coming to England for the first time, and then finding reggae music. That was my passion. I loved reggae. Hated punk rock, but then when the Clash started doing dub reggae, which is my favourite type of reggae, dub, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So then I started listening to punk, and I had respect for punk because of the Clash. So it was all entwined, you know, by the Clash doing dub reggae, perfect, you know, and then that being part of the punk side as well, the punks, and then moving on to like even that, you know, like the 90s when you get Rancid, who do punk ska, as one of my favourite bands, because I nearly put a Rancid song in, you know, instead, but I had to opt for what the Two Tone movement meant to me, and that one song for Do Nothing, you know, meant to me is probably one of my favourites, ska songs, special songs.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks for being on.
Eagle,
It's
nice one.
always a pleasure to talk to you, bro.
Right, we'll keep in contact, and
Will do, man.
respect for what you're doing and for what we're trying to do. So
And you
people,
guys.
if we can go on to some of the threads and find out more information, and please try and help.
Brilliant. Thanks, man.
Nice one, Eagle. You take care.